It was Tuesday, and I was already late. Nothing extraordinary, just a dull Tuesday with the promise of a dull dentist appointment until the red monolith showed up. You know the ones. Those floating crimson slabs that hum like the universe is clearing its throat. This one drifted along the highway at 10 miles below the speed limit. A lumbering, indifferent monument to inefficiency. I clicked my blinker, muttering, "Not today, pal," and swung into the passing lane. Big mistake. The instant I tried to overtake it, the air turned viscous. The sky above and asphalt below warped, twisting into something that didn't belong in a reality governed by physics. The road stretched, folded, then snapped back, depositing me behind the monolith again. "All right," I growled, gripping the wheel tighter. I floored the gas pedal. For a glorious moment, I pulled alongside it. The monolith emitted a deeper hum, a sound that made my chest vibrate. The dashboard lights flickered. The air around me thickened, shimmering like the heat haze of a too-hot summer, except colder. Wrong. Reality tore open. I was gone. The highway evaporated, replaced by a fractured void. Above me, the sky was black glass, cracked and oozing faint silver light. Around me stretched endless, blasted landscapes, ruins of cities that no sun had ever touched. The road beneath my wheels was still there. Sort of, though it spiraled in impossible directions. I drove forward anyway, because what else do you do when the world falls apart around you? Time didn't work here. Seconds stretched into eternities, and eternities collapsed into moments. I drove out of thought and time, through shattered streets littered with the bones of titanic creatures and monuments to gods I didn't recognize. The sun never rose, and the shadows never fell. At some point, the cracks in reality seeped into my mind. The first 1,000 years of madness were almost fun. I talked to the car, gave it a name, Barry, and we argued about philosophy and existence. I screamed at the ruins, demanding answers from stone faces eroded by eons of silence. When that got old, I laughed. Not little chuckles, but deep, uncontrollable cackles that echoed across the blasted landscape like a lunatic hymn. Then the boredom set in. Boredom is a funny thing. It's not the absence of activity. It's the absence of meaning. Driving through infinity was exciting for a while, but the novelty wore off. The cities blended together. The stars were just black pinpricks in a darker void. I stopped naming things. I stopped talking to Barry. I even stopped caring about the weird, hoary nether beasts that occasionally shambled across the road. They weren't interested in me, and I wasn't interested in them. I let the madness ebb. My mind, cracked and battered, started to knit itself back together piece by piece. Sanity felt strange at first, like an old coat that no longer fit, but it kept me moving. I don't know how long it took to fully recover. A millennium? 2? Time didn't matter. All that mattered was driving forward, through endless desolation, until I found something new. And then I did. The highway returned as suddenly as it had vanished. One moment, I was barreling through infinity, and the next, the familiar stretch of cracked asphalt was under my wheels. The monolith was gone, and the world seemed shockingly solid. I glanced at the clock. It blinked 12 o'clock, oblivious to my ordeal. I pulled over, my hands trembling as I turned off the engine. The quiet pressed in around me, too real after eons of humming voids and whispering ruins. Somehow, I made it to the dentist's office, parking with the care of a man who'd driven through more than time and space. Inside, the receptionist barely looked up from her computer. "You're more than 20 minutes late," she said, her tone clipped but polite. "Yeah," I replied, voice hoarse. "Traffic was weird." She sighed, her smile brittle. "We'll have to reschedule." I nodded, turning to leave. As I stepped outside, I saw it, far off on the horizon, another monolith floating serenely above the highway. It hummed faintly, just loud enough to make my teeth itch. And I hated it. Hated it with the kind of hatred you could only earn by being trapped between what could have been and what never was. It was just that kind of Tuesday.